Hey everybody, so welcome to my new channel, Straw Hat Speculator. Today, guys, I want to talk about some booster boxes that I think can make some gains in the short term and even long term. I think that they're decent options for One Piece. And to start, I want to just talk about OP01 to OP04 because Bandai has announced that rotation is coming in next year, and OP01 to OP04 are gonna rotate out. And the issue with One Piece compared to something like Pokemon is that in Pokemon, a lot of people collect the cards and don't actually play the TCG. Whereas something like Magic, basically most people that open boxes and collect cards also play the TCG. One Piece is sort of in the middle where there are people that just collect the cards, but a lot of people also play the TCG. So when we look at older boxes like this, we can't really go one-to-one in comparing it to Pokemon, because in Pokemon, the older a set gets, even if it's out of rotation, it's going to gain value just because of the rarity. People might want to open the sets in the future to chase specific cards. And for something like One Piece yet, we still don't know if people in the future are going to want to open these older sets to try and chase some of the older manga cards and alternate arts just for collection purposes. So when we look at these sets, again, I think there is potential, especially with Romance Dawn. OP01, Blue Bottom booster boxes, I think are probably the way to go. If you don't have the money for that, though, you can get a white bottom. And again, nothing too crazy in this set. You have the Manga Shanks, you have a Zoro card, Trafalgar Law, Monkey D. Luffy, Nami. Like, you have some decent cards, right? But nothing that's going to compare to some of these other sets we look at in this video. Paramount War in OP02. This box is actually starting to move up and is getting close to $200. And I'm not going to go too in-depth into these sets, but you actually have sales from yesterday and today breaking through $200, even up to $245 on TCG Player, which is quite impressive. Again, nothing too crazy in here. You have the Portis D Ace, Parallel Manga card. You have Smoker, Monkey D Garp, Edward Newgate. So you have some decent cards, but nothing too crazy. Pillars of Strength, OP03. This one's moving as well, getting close to $200. And again, you do have sales from yesterday breaking through that $200 price point. But again, nothing too crazy in the set. And then Kingdoms of Intrigue, out of the first four sets, is probably the weakest, sitting around $155-ish right now. And again, nothing too crazy. You have a Sabo, you have a Boa Hancock, Trafalgar Law, Rebecca, and a lot of these characters also have better cards in later sets, which we'll see. The first investment that I want to talk about, and this is one of my largest positions that I've decided to enter into, is Awakening of the New Era, OP05. This box is breaking through $200, sitting around $210-ish right now, but most recent sales from today, consistent $225. And if TCG Player's any sign of what's to come, we're going to see this box slowly move up. Now, one thing I like about OP05 is that it's going to not be excluded from rotation next year. So again, it's OP05. The first four sets are going to be rotating out, which means even if we get to a situation where One Piece in general doesn't have enough collectors for there to be large premiums on older boxes that have rotated out, similar to what Pokemon has with people wanting to collect the cards, OP05 is still going to be in rotation for a while, which means that this box is probably going to get more valuable as people need the cards, especially if certain cards in it don't get reprinted. But outside of that, this box is very deep. So when we look at it, you have the Monkey D. Luffy up top around $2,500, and then you have the stamp signature Monkey D. Luffy autographed by Ichiro Oda, the creator of One Piece. I believe that's who signed this one. Yep. And I mean, these are beautiful cards too, right? This is kind of why I'm a big fan of One Piece, because I really do like some of these artworks. And also you have the waifu element, which we'll talk about later. But you have Trafalgar Law in this set. You have Captain, you have Nami, Uta, Yamato. So you have a lot of waifu, but you also have the Luffy cards. You have a decent Trafalgar Law. There's a lot of value. The top two cards alone are around $3,700. And this card was reprinted in, I believe, OP09, which we're going to talk about later in this video. But you also have the signature card, which I think is great. And I think if collectors, this is the type of card that I think collectors will want to try and, chase in the future when they open sets. And this is something that I've actually wanted in Pokemon for a long time, for some of these artists to actually have a signature card, make it very rare. Like, could you imagine a Shinji Kanda signature Giratina V, right? That was 10 times harder to hit than just the regular alternate art in Lost Origin. Something like that would be super cool. So I'm a big fan of this card and OP05 in general, Awakening of the New Era. You can find this box for around $300 Canadian. On Facebook Marketplace, you can probably find it even a little bit cheaper, but most stores right now, I believe Hobbiesville, and I'll leave a link in the description, $300 on their site right now. Some stores are up to around $330. So that's the first one, and that's actually my second largest position is OP05. Outside of that, I really like Emperors in the New World, and this box is continuing to climb as well, sitting around $170, but when you look at the most recent sales, closer to $175, and you even have a couple sales a bit lower from today, around $170, $167, but for the most part, the last few over $70 were breaking through. This is a relatively new box too. I believe it came out in December, so you saw this price crash from around 180 into that 125, 130 range. We're already back up to 170 within a couple months, and this set is very deep, guys. And the big thing that I love about this set is you have that Goldie Roger manga gold card. It's very, very rare, very difficult to pull. This card's sitting around $3,000, I believe, $3,500. Again, doesn't sell too often, but if you open this type of card, you're in for a decent payday, and it's also just an awesome card if you want to collect, right? If you're a fan of One Piece, this is probably one of the grail cards that Bandai has released so far. And just even watching openings on YouTube of this, it reminds me of opening something like a base set Charizard, like a very rare Gengar or some other Pokemon, right? Umbreon, like the Moonbreon from Evolving Skies. This is the kind of vibes I get when I see openings of this type of card. So outside that, you also have the Monkey D. Luffy, you have the Marshall D. Teach, you have Shanks, you have a Buggy manga, and that's one thing I need to point out. Normally in these earlier sets like Romance Dawn, there's only one manga, I believe, whereas with Emperors in the New World, you have 5 mangas, I think, and then you also have some wanted posters, Luffy, Shanks, Marshall D. Teach. So again, you have some really great cards, and then you also have a Buggy. I forgot to mention Buggy, and then you also have the waifu element. You have a Nami, and you have a Boa Hancock. And again, the reality is waifu cards are always going to be great, especially if the knockers are out. So these cards have just been taking off over the past like 6 months. This is up 70%. It's not surprising to me that the cards are doing well, but also just the set in general. And full disclosure, currently OP09 is my largest position. It goes that, then Awakening of the New Era, and then the next one we're going to talk about, which is the Premium Booster Box. I bought a couple of these, not cases, just the boxes, and these are starting to fly, guys. A couple months ago, more than a couple, back in October, November, this was around $120-ish USD. We're now sitting at $260. So in the past 6 months, you could have basically doubled your money, more than doubled your money on this box. And most recent sales from today, almost $290 on a couple of these boxes. You have one at $275 and then a couple at $270. So this is pushing $270 now. Again, you can still find this cheaper. A lot of stores, I definitely found it a bit cheaper in Canada today. So I think in part it's just because there are more boxes on the market, and TCG players normally a bit higher than the overall market. But also, I think right now a lot of people aren't paying attention to One Piece. Everyone's focused on Pokemon. Maybe they're not checking their prices as often on something like One Piece. So if you can buy up boxes like this for a decent discount, I think this is the way to go. When we look at the set too, it's very deep. You have a ton of manga cards. You have the Monkey D. Luffy. This was the reprint from OP05 back here. Not OP09, correction. PRB01, excuse me. We have the Luffy reprint. You also have the Nami in here, manga. You have the Zoro card. You have Tony Chopper, Porgus D-Ace, Shanks, Trafalgar Law, and then you have a bunch of these Dawn Gold cards, which I think are great as well. You also have the Captain card. You have Sabo, Sogeking. So you have tons and tons of mangas, and then the Dawn cards. And again, whole front page, over $100, right? So that is a very deep set. There's lots of value here, not just for people, trying to open the box to get cards to play, but also just collectors, people that want to collect the Dawn cards, the mangas. It's great. Outside this, I think we need to give an honorable mention to the Memorial Collection EB01. This box is taking off as well. Past 3 months, up around 50%. Past 6 months, over 100% gain. Over $300 USD now, and it is selling, fairly consistently, right? A couple days ago, $321, yesterday, $320, so it is in that range. This box is very difficult to find, even though it doesn't have a ton inside. You have the manga Tony Chopper, But outside that, nothing too crazy. You have Cavendish, you have another 2020 Chopper, you have Mr. Tubon Curry. So you have a couple cards in there, but again, outside the Chopper at $715, nothing too crazy. So again, this box is something that collectors might just want in the future as a sealed item. It also seems not to be getting the large reprints that a lot of the mainline sets have been getting. And that's why I like these premium boxes. I like, the anniversary sets, stuff like that. And then really any set that's super deep, like OP05, like OP09, these are going to be great investments, and keep an eye on them. Even if they're newer sets, if we do end up seeing reprints, that will probably give you a decent opportunity to buy more as well, if you genuinely believe in the set. Outside that, OP10, I think I just brought it up here. Nothing too crazy in the set. This just released, so keep an eye on this. If it drops maybe into that $80, $90 range, something along those lines, it might be worth getting a little bit of exposure. But again, nothing too crazy in the set compared to OP05, OP09, and a couple of these premium boxes. But with that said, thank you guys so much for watching this first video on Straw Hat Speculator. If you guys did enjoy, please subscribe to the channel, helps out a lot. Leave a like on the video, share it with a friend. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.